Get to the mood first. There. That's my main thing I want to teach to new artists. We get so caught up in researching details and character designs that often this most important part of painting is missing: mood. When teaching concept art students, I've noticed over the years that this is the one thing I need to repeat again and again, because it's not like a composition rule or a color theory trick that can be learned in an hour. Mood is simple to explain, but for me it's hard to execute every single time. Creating mood requires a whole lot of courage. I can't just half-heartedly fake an emotion in a painting for a few hours and move on. I can see when a painting comes from an authentic place and everything else just feels somehow repulsive to me. When a mood comes easily to me in a painting, it's when I can use true empathy for the scene I'm painting. When I let the colors and my own brushstrokes fool me into thinking that the space I've created is real, and then I just fill in the blanks to make it complete. When those empty spaces are filled with the appropriate brushstrokes, the painting feels true. This might sound simple, but it's not. The trick is to not think about the consequences. I don't think about what people online might say about my paintings. I pretend to paint like no one's watching. When I'm creating this video, I try not to think about what other people might write in the comments after this is done. In short, I paint the way I dance in elevators. And I dance in every single elevator, because there nobody really is watching. I prefer to talk about hard topics honestly, and I've painted long enough to know where the trouble spots are when trying to get to the mood. It's fear, and I want to be very clear about this next part. We often talk about fear and creativity and how you need to conquer fear to get to the creative part. To me, this explanation is simply too wishy-washy and not specific enough. Fear, in this context, is not one single thing. It's a bundle of different emotions like shame, fear of missing out, fear of inadequacy, lack of self-worth, fear of being seen, or fear of not being seen, or anybody caring about what you're painting. Fear is like darkness. At first, it seems like a black veil covering everything, but if you walk into it soon enough, your eyes will adjust to it, and eventually you will be able to see shapes being carved out of what previously seemed like formless darkness. If we can get to a place where we don't just slap a single label of fear when it comes to your creative process, if we can look at that emotion closer and see the individual components for what they really are, we will have a much better chance of overcoming them. Are you surrounded by other artists whose competitive attitude makes you feel unable to share your work? I mean, just get better friends that are supportive. It's much easier to solve than just running away from your art when it becomes uncomfortable. And it will get uncomfortable, guys. I'm serious, I wouldn't even bring this whole topic up if it wasn't that common. Getting to the mood in a painting effectively can't be taught in an hour because it requires a great deal of strength and courage to stand in the middle of your fears and express emotion anyway, even at the moment when all you want to do is armor up. When we armor up, we prevent others from seeing ourselves in our art. You can identify your own armor by these telltale signs. Working on details way longer than is helpful for the mood of the painting, or trying to explain the story of the painting to a point where it excludes the viewer participation. Perfectionism. Trying to hide technical weakness with elaborate camouflage, and finally, not giving your finished piece a name. The reason why mood is important is because it can create emotional connection with the viewer. It can let you be seen, and occasionally it will create those moments of connection with others. Those moments make art worth all the trouble in the world. Mood is the most important thing when I paint, and I've destroyed large areas of already nearly complete pieces to rebuild them with the mood I was going for. Without the mood, they wouldn't have been complete anyway. They wouldn't have been true. Also, I have to say I'm not fearless. Not even close. I'm afraid to be seen or judged like everybody else. I'm afraid my brushstrokes will be deemed too loose or my vision of the world too romantic. I'm afraid of speaking in this video because I'm afraid of what people will write in the comments. I'm afraid of all those things. But I'm also brave, and I know you can be too.